What's up, brother?
Not much. Glad we get to do this again. We thought we had started, but I guess we got a good dress rehearsal.
All right. So what are we talking about today? Tell everybody that's with us live. What are we going to do today?
So I thought we would just let everybody kind of look under the hood, I guess. You know, we spend, as we tell everybody, hours in this conference room here at the office, planning, preparing, talking about kind of where we're going and what we're doing. And I thought we would just provide some insight on those topics. Couple that I wrote down in no particular order are, you know, new markets and where we're headed, management of properties that we don't sell, and kind of just the status of the market. I know you wanted to touch on a rental update, kind of update everybody on that. And I think we just kind of start there and see where it goes.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're right with one thing. We normally, most of the weekly lives done, especially with Kent Senior, are done with these where we're doing interviews of you guys, of clients and sharing stories and asking questions, getting answers for, you know, investors that are out there with us. But Brett and I thought that we might change it up this week. And part of that change, you just said this is a war room. So I'm in our conference room. You guys can't see the whole thing, you know, but we've got big conference room. This is where we work in here every day. You know, I'm facing the big whiteboards with data and numbers and notes. And I mean, this is where the three of us basically, especially when COVID hit, I mean, we basically camped out in here for roughly a couple of months. While everyone was gone out of the office, one of the things that we had seen a few places and Kent Senior thought it would be great was to, and because there was only 6 of us, you know, come in the office. Can you still hear me okay, Brett?
You're going in and out a little bit. Yeah, it's good.
All right, I'm gonna make a slight change here because I want people to be able to hear me. You good? So let me go see what this says. So anyway, guys, we're having some internet difficulties, it appears, here today. So this video may be kind of in and out. I'm not sure if it's us. I'm not sure if it's Facebook or Zoom or a combination of all three, but we're having a little bit of issues. In the meantime, let me tell you, these are cardboard cutouts that were created so that all of our team from Texas and everywhere in all the different markets could be here with us. Kent Senior looms large over us at all times. He's sitting right on my shoulder there watching me do my Facebook Live here today. Not uncomfortable at all. That's Deidre. There's Ryan Woolbright. Oh, there's Nate. He's masked up. He's making sure he's protecting himself. This is just a fantastic team of different team members that are here in Memphis with us. We thought we'd have some fun and put them all in the conference room with us today. Normally they might sit in chairs while we're all sitting around having our meeting, just so we can feel like we're together, right, Brett?
That's right.
There's nothing strange about that, right?
No, not at all. We gotta keep the company culture alive and going when we all can't be in the same place at the same time. So we do what we can.
There you go. I love it. It's all family. So hey, look, why don't I start with rental real quick?
Okay.
Let's give it just a quick little brief update. If y'all watched last week, you kind of know exactly where we're heading. You know what this is going to be. Nothing's changed so far. Rentals are going very good. The rental team is strong. Yes, there are more hiccups going on today. There's more challenges than what we've had in the past, but you know, the team is dealing with it well. I think our residents are doing really good with communication and trying to make sure that they uphold their end. I believe we're going to end somewhere between 97 and 98.5% of the rent billed this month collected. A majority of that being collected during the month of October and paid out to our owners during this month. We're still right on pace. We're going to have another great renewal month. We're on pace to send out over $62 million in net rental payments to our owners. So look, it's positive. It's way better than what we had planned in March. We could not have drawn up a roadmap to get us to November that looked any better than the way the teams performed, than the way that things have come down. I think you would probably agree with that, Brett.
Yeah, and I think we're also in a great spot going to the last 2 months of the year. You know, typically November and December are 2 of the harder months to rent due to the holiday season. You have a lot of people that don't want to move over the Christmas holiday, but I think we're in a great spot headed into that time of the year. I think as of today, we had about 45 houses available for rent.
I'm looking at it right now.
about 15 to 17 of those are in Memphis, where we manage over 3,000. So I think to be in that position going into this time of year, we're in a really, really good spot as far as new rentals go.
And here's what's funny, Brett, is that we were at 45 last Wednesday when I did the report. We're at 46 today, but it's not net one. I mean, it's net one, but it's funny you just mentioned that. We have fewer houses available today in Memphis than we did 1 week ago. They've done a great job of renting. And we bring new houses out, but a lot of those new houses are already occupied when we bring them out. So DFW, we only have 5 vacant right now in DFW, 3 of which were last Wednesday. Keep looking.
And that's how we get to our numbers where, you know, Nate will tell us that on the first of a particular month, we had 55 houses available, but we rented over 100 houses in that month because we're getting them rented so fast as they come out. Our rental team's doing an incredible job in all the cities.
Yeah, exactly. That's where I was going to point out that Oklahoma City is another market that's actually down. We have fewer available this Wednesday than we did last Wednesday because they've done a good job of getting them rented up through the week. And then we had nothing empty in St. Louis last week. Now we have 1. And when we say nothing empty, what we mean is, again, just to remind everybody that's watching, these are houses that we're currently marketing. There are fewer than 100, and they might be mixed through these markets that are being that may have had a move out that are being renovated and brought to market that aren't there yet. So, you know, at any given time, we say we have 46 available. There may be, you know, another 80 to 90 houses that are in some form of renovation that aren't out yet. But this is, you know, again, added all together, we probably have 120 or roughly 2% of our portfolio that's actually vacant right now looking for a resident. So look, as far as our rental update goes, and Brett just said a second ago, we just cannot give enough credit to that team. So doing a great job. Why don't you, Brett, let's talk about our existing markets, and then we'll go to like some of the new markets and what we're thinking. And maybe even some of those surprises that, you know, we don't want anybody to hear anything we're not saying. We're going to talk about some markets that we haven't gone to yet, but maybe markets we like as we talk about 2021. So let's just talk real quickly overview about the existing markets and what we think about them.
Sure. So we have our 7 markets that we've been in for a while: Memphis, Dallas, Houston, Little Rock, Tulsa, Oklahoma City, and St. Louis. And then we recently started purchasing in San Antonio. So we have a few properties in San Antonio that we're currently renovating. We think that we're going to finish up those renovations here in the next 3 to 4 weeks. And then we'll, as we do in every market, we always get them rented before we release them at first, just to make sure we're on top of the market of what they're actually going to lease for, that we're not missing anything there. So we're hoping that sometime in November, December, before the end of the year, we're going to have our first properties in San Antonio that we're able to release. So that's really exciting. Other than that, it's kind of business as usual, which I know it's a really weird term to be using in 2020 because there's absolutely nothing usual about this year. But we've had a good month so far. We're expecting to contract 90 houses between all the markets. The buying team is doing a good job. We're right on pace. We're having a really strong month in Oklahoma City this month, so we have a lot of properties coming there. But everybody else is right on pace to hit that 90, and that was the pace early this year. Before March, before COVID, we were doing about 90 on the contracting side. We tightened up a little bit during the second quarter as we worked ourselves through that, but now it's full steam ahead in those markets, and we hope to be releasing about 90 houses a month to our sales team here pretty soon.
Let's talk about that just for one quick second, because that's a question we get asked a lot. I know the sales team gets it, that we don't have a website, a page anywhere that publishes, here's the 90 houses that we're going to finish renovating this month that we're going to release to the sales team. We don't have that. And that's by choice. Let's talk about why, because what you just said, I thought was like critical to it of the fact that we break down the markets through the month of how many we want to buy in each. And the renovation team is releasing those, and we're renting them before we release them, and kind of the whole process. I think it's critical for success. And anybody that may be on here saying, hey, you know, I want to know about every house. Well, that's generally not how our most successful clients operate. They operate from a standpoint of, you know, I tell you exactly what I'm looking for, and you bring that to me, right?
Sure. Yeah, we have, every month in all the different markets, we have all sorts of price points, areas, types of houses, you know, from new builds that we do in certain cities to markets like Texas where we have our more expensive homes. So we have, you know, both ends of the spectrum and everywhere in between houses that come out. So like you said, Chris, no, we don't just put 40 properties at a time on our website available to purchase. For one, you know, we're selling them so fast that would not be productive for us at all. But as you said, it's more important for the client and the client experience for us not to do that, to walk the client through exactly what they're looking for, to make sure we're getting them exactly what they want. I think as of this morning's meeting, we only had 2 houses available. So it's, you know, it's a moot point anyway. And we have 51, I think was the last time I looked, investors who's raised their hands and said they're ready to purchase. And so those numbers don't add up. And that's one of the main reasons we don't do that.
Well, and so like for everybody watching, so we have 8 markets right now that we're actively buying in, right? And each of those markets has a goal for the month. I'll just take I'll take it to the side for a second. Man, if you've ever heard us talk, if you know this guy at all, any of his history, metrics, KPIs, details. I mean, up here, it's kind of covered, but it says, learn the necessities of details, the sign up here behind all of our team. Those details mean that we go into a month, there is a goal for each market, right? I mean, it's not a just free for all, go buy stuff. We know the exact zip codes. We know exactly how many houses we want to buy in each of those markets and the price per square foot we expect to pay, right?
Yeah, and I'll even add another word to what you're saying. It's very intentional what we do on a monthly basis. It's not, hey, we're just trying to do X amount of houses. It's we want to do this amount of houses in this particular market because we know exactly how many houses we can buy at the price we need to buy in order to get them rehabbed in the time period we need to get them renovated in order that we can rent them without, you know, flooding the market with a bunch of rentals that take a long time to rent. So it's all very intentional. It's not, hey, let's just go buy as many as we can in all the cities. It's Memphis is our main hub. That's always going to be more houses than most of the other cities. St. Louis, we're still fairly new in. So we're not going to, you know, take the gloves off and go buy 20 houses a month in St. Louis because our experience and our clients' experience would not be what we wanted it to be. So it's very intentional what we do. And as you said, it's details for sure.
So that one of the ways that I was going to kind of take that is that if an investor like is watching here today and says, I really want to invest in St. Louis, like I want to build a portfolio. I want 2 or 3 properties in St. Louis. St. Louis for us is a relatively newer market and one that we are not investing as heavily as we are like Memphis or Dallas. And so as an investor, you most likely are not the only one that wants to invest in that market. And if we're only buying 3, 4, 5 houses a month, which would be 60 houses in a year. So it's not like it's, you know, it's so funny when we say that, like 3, 4, 5 houses a month, we think of that as just nothing. That's just we're doing 5 times that volume in Memphis, if not more. But so when we're doing those particular, that particular number, it's important that investors don't get frustrated, right? Or there's certainly no need to rush whatsoever. We'll fill everybody with what they want to buy, but it just may not be as fast. If you said you want Memphis, there's greater opportunity than if you say, I want to buy only in St. Louis or say Houston. That's another market. We don't do just a huge volume, and that's because of price point, right?
Yep.
All right. So, and we got some questions coming in, so I just want to make sure that we.
I'll jump in and I'll take one of those.
Yeah, go ahead.
One of the questions that came in is about how buying in each of the markets has become more challenging during COVID. And, you know, that's a question that we get a lot, especially obviously in the last 6 months. And, you know, we used to get the opposite question of, you know, back 10, 12 years ago during the financial crisis when the supply was plenty, it was how do you guys sell all these houses? Where do you get investors? Where do you get the financing from? And today that whole script is flipped. Obviously we have investors today borrowing money in the 3% range. As we mentioned earlier, we have a lot of people ready to buy houses, and the supply is the challenge today. And there's several things that I have to comment on that. Number one, our team does a great job in the individual markets that we're in, networking with other people in the real estate business, whether it's agents, wholesalers, private sellers, I mean, we have a great team on the buying team here in Memphis and in Dallas that do that. And the other thing is, I mean, diversity. I mean, we're in 8 cities. We don't have to do 80 houses here in Memphis, because that would be really hard. And that's why we keep expanding, going to more markets, so we're able to fill the orders that we're trying to get. I referenced a minute ago that I think we bought. I think we're in the mid to high 50s for the month right now, on pace to go by 90. Yeah. And our buying team repeatedly hits their goal every month, whatever target we put in front of them, they're able to go out there and get that. So is it more challenging? Yes, but that's kind of why we're here every day. That's what makes it fun, is the challenge. It's the chase. So
yeah. It makes me laugh a little bit internally. I'm going to say it now to the group out here so you say that that we're at mid 50s for the month buying, and what somebody watching this may not understand and fully realize is that you're intimately familiar with exactly how many we bought in every market daily. And if you've never owned a company, if you've never been an entrepreneur, if you've never run a company, certainly if you've never been here to visit us, which now's as good a time as any to invite everyone. If you want to visit us and see the corporate offices before you buy, that last piece of, I want to make sure that I'm doing business with the best of the best, come please. All the COVID rules apply. We'll figure out how to get you in here and let you meet people and see around and know that this thing is real. One of the things you'll see is this room. One of the things that happens in this room every day is a 1 o'clock executive meeting. At the 1 o'clock executive meeting every day, we are updated with what is the goal for every market. Have we achieved it yet? How are we going to achieve it? Ryan Flannery, guy right here with that big, beautiful white teeth smile right there, is the guy that is responsible for that. I mean, him and Drew Clothier, they are 100% on top of every single house we're buying, every contract we have out, every negotiation we're in the middle of, and every day at 1 o'clock as a team, we review it. Now that's a tremendous difference maker. I cannot say what everybody else out there in the country does. I talk with a lot of turnkey companies, but I can tell you that few of them have the time or the team or the past experience to know just how important that is, how the daily meeting, just how important that is. We know that we have 46 available rentals today, and we know which market and how long they've been out there. We know how many properties have been vacant longer than 20 days. We know, or on the market longer than 20 days. We've got several of our rental team up here with us, from Jerry to Asha to Nick. I don't see Missy. She's Dallas, but just the same. We've got rental teams in all these markets that their only job is to know these numbers and report it up through our chain for the executive meeting every day at 1 o'clock, right?
Yeah, and that's why the details are so important. It'd be very easy for us to say on the first, all right, go buy 90 houses this month. We'll catch you on the 30th and tell us how you did.
Right.
But that's not good. That's why, like you said, we're in there every day. We watch the trends. We notice the trends. Are we behind in this city? Why are we behind? What are we missing? Are we answering the phone? Are we making the phone calls? Are we reaching out to the people we need to be reaching out to? And we track it, like you said, every day, so we can get ahead of anything that may be coming down the pipeline, whether we're behind in one city. Do we need to make adjustments over here? And truly, I think that's where the separation really is, and in the details, and focusing on the minor things like that.
Right. And here's the one of the things about what you just said. If we turned it loose on 90 houses, and let's say that Ryan and his team, they didn't have a goal for each market. Their only thing was just to perform. Go buy as much as you can, wherever you can. Then it would be virtually impossible for us as a company to manage our team in each of these markets and manage the number of days it takes us to complete a renovation. All the stats that, if you watch these videos, you heard about from Mark Anderson the last couple of weeks. Whereas Mark Anderson is talking about the data with Kent Sr., getting into the details of the data, and then going out and walking through houses and doing an actual, like, behind the scenes for everyone to see. If we didn't have this down to those KPIs and hold everybody accountable to those details, it would be easy to overbuy in one market and underbuy in another, where Mark Anderson's got people sitting around doing nothing in one market because there's not enough renovations, and we can't spit renovations out in our time frame, and everything takes twice as long in another because we bought too many. So there's so much that goes into it. It's kind of funny. It's things that you and I, Brett, probably take for granted because we're so used to it now. That through the years it's been set up that we take it for granted. But these details, they matter on such a grand scale of our success and then the client's success.
We eat, sleep, and breathe it. So it's almost second nature to us, but I cannot state how important it is to be in all the details and know all those numbers, because it's what makes everything go.
Let's do this. Let's talk real quickly about other markets that we're looking at, markets that you may really like, where we are currently getting licensed. I think that's a really big deal for everybody to know, because it begins to kind of show the directions we're heading. Again, disclaimer, we're not telling you that we're going to have anything for sale. To that end, San Antonio, we've got some properties coming up where there's going to be a little bit of I'm quite sure there's going to be a mad rush to those properties. I just want to let everybody know that it's going to be kind of this slog. We're not coming out with 20 houses immediately. We're going to have a couple here, a couple there. If you want them, you'll get a chance to tell us here later. But just so everybody knows, I mean, it's all methodical. I really like your word. I'm gonna start borrowing that word, Brett. Intentional. That's a good one. Why don't you tell them what our intentions are for possible other markets?
Well, like you said, it takes a long time for us to make the decision that we're going to a market and then actually go into the new market. And I think we actually gave San Antonio the green light probably about March 1st, and then immediately put the red light on it about 2 weeks later. But here we are. So once we got through all that, we're finally starting to do that now. But now, one of the ways, Chris, that we've kind of talked about new cities and what different cities to go to is what we recently did, where we announced that we're going to start managing houses in other markets. And that was kind of how we got started in St. Louis in the first place. We had a lot of clients that had bought in St. Louis that had asked us if we were going there, if we ever had any intention of going there. And that kind of put up our antennas that, hey, that may be a good way for us to go into a new market if we know that we have houses that we're able to manage, and then we can start purchasing in those areas and start renovating and selling in those areas. So I think that also has to do with what markets we're going to. Is this announcement that I think you made a couple weeks ago, Kent Senior made a couple weeks ago, about managing other houses for our investors. And I know we've got a lot of people that have already raised their hands, said they're interested. DeVarte on our team is the one who's spearheading that. I know he's got quite a few clients that he's already working with. So it's going to be really interesting to see what we hear from that on what cities investors are in, where they think we should be going. But you asked a question a minute ago that we do have a couple cities that are on our radar. Of course, the number one thing when we go into a new city is licensing. We have to be licensed to operate as a property management company there. And so we have a couple states that we're already licensed in that we're not operating in, but I think the next city that we're definitely looking at is going into Birmingham. I think we're working on our license there right now. We hope to be purchasing there probably at the very beginning of the first quarter of 2021, which means as we get into the spring and summer of 2021, we'll have houses actually coming out there. Again, we have to get the team there. We have to get them trained up. We have to be in the right neighborhoods, get our vendor team, get familiar with the rental market, and do all the due diligence that we have to do to be ready to go there. But I think as far as new cities, new markets, that's going to be number one on our radar for sure. The other thing, again, going back to the licensing thing, is that we're always looking at cities that are in states that we're already licensed in. And so anybody who's bought in Memphis knows that we buy a lot in DeSoto County, which that is North Mississippi, which might as well be a suburb of Memphis, but it's actually in Mississippi. So we're licensed in Mississippi. So we've kicked around the idea of Jackson, Mississippi a lot. It's about 3 hours away from Memphis. So that works good for the hub and spoke model. Obviously, there are a couple more cities in Texas, big cities that we're not in, that are always a possibility. We're licensed in Little Rock, and there's the Northwest Arkansas area that we've kicked around a little bit.
Yeah.
And so there's a couple different opportunities there, and then obviously we have the markets that are in states that we're not licensed in yet. So we've discussed before Atlanta, Charlotte, Louisville, those type cities. So we hope to be bringing out more cities as 2021 goes on. But I think Birmingham is probably number one on our radar for sure.
And we also really like You didn't say, we like Jackson, Mississippi. Did you say Jackson?
I mentioned, yeah, Jack, because we're already licensed in Mississippi.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty good one to go to as well.
And technically we're licensed in Alabama. Now we're working on the reciprocal brokerage, right? So it's, am I right?
Yeah, that's all part of the process to get licensed there. Yep.
And we're currently already licensed in Florida too, right?
We are ready to go in Florida. That's just a matter of picking the right city and getting going there if and when we choose to do so.
It's a bit outside of our footprint, just a little bit outside of it currently, but it's certainly a market that we're looking at.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we've been asked a couple of questions. I want to make sure we get to them. Is that cool?
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
So I'm going to take the question right here. A gentleman named John Sexton. John, thank you, number one, so much for asking a question of us. So I'm going to touch base on the sales question real quick, Brett. John's asking, once an investor's ready to purchase, how long does it typically take to match them with a property? And I will say that that is it's kind of dependent on the investor. It's dependent on the investor and the scenario. I'll say the scenario only because there are time sensitive investments such as 1031 exchanges that once we're engaged with a 1031 exchange, we make sure we do not miss it. We've never missed a 1031 exchange for an investor ever. And so we want to make sure that we hit those spot on. But, John, typically it depends on how prepared an investor is and how open they are. So we have an investor that I know has been waiting. It's probably been 6 weeks now, between 6 to 8. It may have been as many as 8 weeks at this point. So 2 months, but they are extremely specific with what they're looking for. Which is, hey, let me tell you, it's excellent because they know exactly what they are looking for their portfolio. And they're a little less open, which isn't bad. They're just very, very direct with, I want a very specific investment in a very specific location at a specific price range. We can meet that. But as we explained to them, they're not, again, not to be corny, but these things, they don't grow on trees. They have to be developed, as Brett and I just talked about. You have to find it, purchase it, renovate it, rent it, all that kind of thing. And, the more detailed that an investor is, the more likely we hit their expectations perfectly, but it may take a little longer to get there. Now, I will say that a majority, and I think it's a vast majority of our investors, they want to build out a portfolio. They're looking for anywhere from 5 to 10 properties. We have more investors that have more than 10 properties today than at any point in the history of our company, and that just grows every month. But, the typical investor is going to be right there in that 5 range. And generally, investors say, I'm looking to diversify my portfolio. I may have a preference for market or markets based on what I currently know, but very few investors come in and say, I'm looking for, a definition of a market by cash flow or definition by appreciation. That's not the typical successful investor that we deal with. Typically, it's an investor that says, first and foremost, we want it to be a positive investment. So it needs to make money, of course. I want it to be a good long-term investment, 7 to 10 years. So all of the markets work. And they typically have a range of the amount they want to put into an investment. So I've got an amount of money that lets me build, 5 to 7 houses, 2 to 4 houses to start with, whatever it ends up being. But typically our most successful investors are not coming in with, I just want this market or that market. They're a little more broad, a little more open-minded. And when I say successful, what I mean is they're a little broader in what it is they're trying to build through their portfolio. It doesn't mean that an investor that says, I specifically want this isn't going to be successful. It just means it's easier to get going fast. Typically, I would say, Brett, within a month of an investor getting approved with a lender, within 30 days, they're able to put something under contract, or at least have the opportunity to put something under contract. Their choice whether they go forward or not. There's no waiting list. You don't put any deposit down to get on the list. If you say no to an investment, it doesn't mean you go to the back of a line and you have to wait till the next one come around. There's none of that. This is all about absolutely catering an experience that an investor, specifically to that investor, one that they want to have. An investor wants to feel comfortable and confident that they're getting exactly what fits their needs. So the little broader that their needs are able to be defined, the easier it is to get going quicker. The more specific it is, may take a little more time. John, that was the 9-minute version of something I probably could have said in 1 minute. I know that.
Well, I mean, everything you said is exactly right. I will add one thing to it.
Yeah.
I had a call yesterday with a client who had just purchased his 5th house. I was just checking in, seeing how everything was going. And he made the comment to me of how great it is for him because him and his wife both have full-time jobs. And he said, I don't have time to worry about this. And he said, I've got my business over here that I run. I don't have time to be thinking about this. And for us, for an investor to know exactly why he's buying real estate, and for that investor, it was, I want to build wealth. I want to create cash flow, but I don't want to have to worry about it. And, for us on our end personally, that's why we do this. That's what makes us super proud, knowing that person is putting their faith in us and our company and all of our team members to perform for them. And the person that knows what he's looking for, why he wants to do it, and understands that that's exactly what we're here to do and make it completely as passive as they want it to be for them is something important that I think to add to that too.
Every once in a while, I kind of move around on the screen, not intentionally, just move around, and I look up and I see Kenzie like staring right down at me, and I'm like, I know he's watching over our shoulders. Hey, the same gentleman, John, asked a question, and I thought you might want to help me on this one, Brett. How do we ensure the same high standards in the rehab and management in new markets? Because the reality is that is a fantastic question, but one we really love to answer because it gives us a chance to put all the spotlight like on the team right here behind us, because it has nothing to do necessarily with you and I or Ken Sr. It has everything to do with just a fantastic team that ensure those standards. So I don't know if you want to take a little bit of that.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the most important question, right? When people go into a new market with us, hey, how do I know that I'm getting the same product in new city as I am in Memphis or Dallas, the cities that you guys have been in for a long time? And for us, that's the most important thing, is to build our vendor team, and not only our vendor team, but our team in those cities to be able to create that experience. And Mark Anderson, who's in charge of all of our renovations across all the cities, and of course, he has a bunch of people underneath him, but he's the one that really drives that and instills that into our teams in those markets. And Mark Anderson does a great report that I just happen to have here every month, where we're tracking every metric by market: how many roofs we put on, how many ACs we replaced, how many furnaces we replaced, et cetera. So we can try to create that exact same experience for our client that they would get no matter what city they buy in. And so I think the number one word to answer that question is training. And not only training our team, but training our vendors of, this is exactly what we want, this is exactly what we expect, and making sure that property is in great condition for the resident who's ultimately going to move in it. There's obviously a lot of details and a lot of moving parts that go into that equation, but from a high level, it's training our team, training our vendor team, finding the guys that will come in and do quality work at a quality price for us. Because that's what they say, anytime you're talking about construction or renovation, it's quality versus price. You can't have both. Well, we want both, and we're going to go get both. We want a great price because we know that we're going to buy collectively 900 houses a month, that we can provide consistent work for a vendor team, that as long as you're giving us solid work, we're going to pay you a fair price, and we're going to have a lot of work that we can bring back to you. Trying to build that vendor team up from electricians to plumbers to sheetrock guys and on down the list is a big challenge in those new markets. And going back to what we said earlier, that's why it takes time. It takes time to build that. It takes time to train the team, but it is the most important part of going to a new market.
Well, it got me thinking there for a second. A couple of weeks ago, I'm pretty sure Mark Anderson was out of the office for a week. Do you remember that? And he was up in St. Louis.
Mm-hmm.
So when we talk about, there's this thing that I don't know when Ken Sr. first said it. I don't know when our dad first mentioned it, but I know it was in those videos. Remember the videos, the YouTube videos from years ago, Cash Flow Pros, that we did as a marketing gig back in 08 and 09. And he said something called "Inspect What You Expect." And the reality of that is, like, Mark Anderson goes to St. Louis for a week. We have two other team members that travel city to city to city, meeting with that management team, meeting with the renovation teams to observe, train, great word that you used at the beginning. And what they're really doing is they're just inspecting what we expect. We expect, Brett's got that report, we expect the satellite markets to be as good, if not better, than Dallas and Memphis. We expect them, the people that work in those markets, to hit their goals as often, if not more often, than the teams that are in Dallas and Memphis. So, yeah, that's how we do it. It's because we have a standard that we want to hold to. We have a reputation that we built through the years, and we're just not willing to. We're not willing to jeopardize that reputation, our good name, the integrity that we operate with every day. We're just not willing to throw that off to the side to make a few more bucks to do a few more houses. I mean, it's almost fanatical how much, John, that we stick to the details, and we realize that every little detail matters. Ken Sr., I think he's got the book here. I'm not sure. Recently, he doesn't have it right here, had us read a book by Furtado. And Brett, I don't have it. I don't know if you got a copy of the book. I'm looking for it here behind me. Where, oh, here it is. So this book by Tillman Furtado, Kent Sr. got it, read it, shared it to the entire executive team, wanted everybody else to read it. I think we did a couple of, we watched a video by him as well. This was during one of our executive meetings where we scheduled for a little longer because he wanted to go through this book and talk about it. Well, that's training for us as owners and executives. We keep training. But one of the big things that came out of this book was the 2%, where, you can do 98% of everything you do can be right and can be the best of the best and above everything. And the reality is, how do you get any better if that's the case? How do you get any better if all you care about and focus on is the 98% that you're doing right? Because no one would call you a failure, right? I mean, you would, if you did 98% of everything you did right, you would be a massive success. But how do you grow from that? The only way you grow is by focusing on the 2% that you're not perfect at. And so I don't know when it was, Brett, May. When was it that oh, it was the other day we were training some of our new team members that joined us, and you talked about the surveying of residents and owners. You remember? Mm-hmm. And so I know we've talked a lot about this, John, but I thought it was important. I appreciate you asking the question. Brett, why don't you tell them real quickly about the survey? So the points you made the other day were massive. That's the 2%.
Yeah, so as Chris said, we survey every resident after they move into one of our properties and sign a lease, but we also survey our clients after every closing. And I'm going to loop this in with another question we got about working with specific lenders in each market, because I can answer both questions.
That question's from Lisa, right?
Yep.
Yeah, thank you, Lisa.
And so we'll do the client side first. So we survey every client after they purchase a property from us to how was working with your portfolio advisor? How is your experience been with customer service? If you're an existing client, how did the title company, closing attorney, lender, insurance, how did they all do? Because we want to know. And we grade it on a scale of 1 to 10. And if it's not a 10, we're asking why. And, every once in a while we'll get an 8, or we may get some above averages. But as Chris said, the 2%, that's not good enough. We want it to be perfect. And we're chasing excellence, as that's one of our sayings around here, is what we're trying to do. We're chasing excellence. So to speak to your question, Lisa, we have lenders that we routinely work with that we do refer a lot of our clients to. Yes. It's not a requirement that you work with them, but what we're really looking out for is our customer experience, because of how your experience with the lender, how your experience with the title company, how your experience on the insurance side are all a direct reflection of your entire experience on a transaction with us. So we want to make sure that if we're sending our clients to lenders, that they're going to get the experience they expect, that they're going to get return phone calls in a timely manner, that they're going to get responses to emails when they ask questions, that they're going to get correct documents and documents on time. And if they have an appointment, that's going to happen on time. And so for us, it's not about ensuring that certain people get our business. It's about ensuring that our clients get the experience that they expect and they deserve. So we do have lenders that we work with. We try to work with lenders who can operate in all of our markets. Obviously, that makes it easier if somebody wants to come in and buy in Arkansas and Texas, if they can use the same lender versus having to use two different ones. So that's a big plus when we use them, but it's all about the service they provide our client. And we meet with our lenders routinely, the ones that are in town, even some come in town, that we'll sit around the table and we'll go over surveys with them of this client said this, that's not what we expect it to be better. Or this client had great things to say, we really appreciate it, keep it up. And so we do that on every client, but we also do it on our residents when they sign leases as well. We want to know the condition of the house. You know, there was nothing wrong with it. Everything worked, your air, your heat, the smell. We want to make sure that you move into a nice house that any of us would want to move in if we were moving into a house that we would expect for us and for our families. And so those surveys, we hold our renovation and our property management teams accountable for those. We want to make sure that the lease closing, that it was an easy process, that you got your keys on time, that you were able to get into the property, that everything about your experience and renting with us makes you want to do it again and tell somebody else about it. And the same thing applies. If it's an 8 and, you know, the house was fine, but this one little thing didn't work. Well, we're going to go figure out why that one little thing didn't work. And we don't want it to happen again. And we're so adamant about that. We're going to show up to your house with flowers and cookies, just so you know how important you are to us and how we value your experience with us. Because at the end of the day, it makes it for a better experience if that resident is a good paying resident, they keep up with the property, and they stay for 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 years, that they want to stay in your property to provide an even better return for the investor. So having a good experience for the resident is good for everybody. It's good for our client, it's good for us, it's good for the resident. And so we think it's really important for that to happen.
That was awesome, dude. That's the 2%. That's the 2% that when you're chasing, as you put it, excellence, that's how you find the areas that you can get better in and that you need to try to improve in. Look, what else were we going to come into this call today talking about? I'll remind everybody, if you're on here and you have a question, throw it in there. If you're an investor, whether you're with us or not, doesn't matter. Even if you're not even interested in investing with necessarily our company, but you're just after trying to figure things out, ask questions. I mean, that's what we're here to do.
We did have a question about going to tourist cities, and I don't think we have that on the radar now, but if we ever open up like a Hawaii Invest, I'll be the first one to go and open up that market. I'll bite the bullet and do that for our team.
You will move away from the home office, relocate your family and everything if you need to.
I mean, if we need to do Hawaii Invest, if we need to go there, I'm open to it.
And I would imagine in that scenario, being that you're so open, that if we got you to Hawaii and said, now we need to open up, Montana Invest, you would be totally good with heading to the Canadian border and doing that for us, right?
Actually, I hope my wife is not watching this, because she would probably kill me. So no, I think I need to stick to Memphis. Not going anywhere.
Do you see us ever doing multifamilies? Because I don't. But I know it's kind of interesting because did we get asked recently to manage a multifamily that we said yes to? Because
well, we talked about this last week, and I'm not one to ever completely close a book. So that's not our niche. We manage 99.9% single family houses. We do have a few multifamilies, but it's very, very few and very far between. That was going to be very area and very market specific, more than anything. And obviously the condition matters greatly, because we're not going to manage just anything. But, a fourplex in certain parts of one city is very different from a fourplex in a certain part of other cities. So that's certainly not what we focus on, but I wouldn't say no to that either.
So I'm gonna talk this next one real quick. We just got a question in from Matthew Delano. I know that Matthew, we get so many great questions on these calls. Really appreciate you watching and asking. So And he's asking a question about Ohio, Brett, and want to know if that's a market that we would be looking into managing existing clients' properties. And I want to say that, you know, so let me tell you our initial thoughts on some of this. And Brett, you jump in and correct me if you're different. But so one of the reasons why we haven't moved our turnkey business really any further north than we are right now, and St. Louis is a bit of a stretch. It's pretty far north, but their winters in St. Louis are not as rough as some other cities further north and further east up into that Ohio Valley, Midwest area. And so that's been the biggest thing that's kept us from going that far north. And it's kind of funny because Louisville, I believe, is right across the river from Cincinnati. So I mean, it's not like we're that far away, but you know, there's an added cost to owning a property when the further north you go, and it's winter costs that you don't get down south. And I'm not sure what the offset is as far as air conditioning goes in the south as opposed to in the north, but I just know that from snow removal to ice to you know, the damage that can be caused from winter months, it's kind of kept us from going that far north. I would, like Brett said a second ago, I'm kind of coming around to the way he answers things. I would never say never, right, Brett?
Right.
But I mean, I don't know. I know that from Cleveland to Cincinnati to Akron, these are all cities that are actively marketed by passive investment companies. They're actively sought after by passive investors. There's nothing fundamentally wrong with these cities. I will not speak to any of the markets individually about their growth or attrition rates or anything like that. But you know, they're not bad. They're safe. They're fairly they're fairly middle of the road style markets. You know, you're not looking at big swings up and down. And so I like Ohio, and I know there's companies up there. I don't know how good all of them are. And I'm not saying that they're not. I know a few of them up there. I know that they're smaller, but just the same. If an investor came to us and said, this is a market I really want to go to, and this is something that Brett and I were talking about earlier today, right after the executive meeting, he and I stayed together with a couple of other team members and just talked about a few things. You know, if we looked up and we had a high number of investors with a high number of properties, you know, a number of properties that makes it worthwhile to build a team in to take management over, we would give it serious consideration, because that's a big part of this. If we can go into a market, and so we achieve scale by having a high number of properties there the day we go into the market, and then drive costs down, because a lot of the home office back in Memphis and Dallas, they handle a lot of the overhead costs. So we don't have those costs going into a market, but we need to generate the revenue. So again, if we had a high number of clients that looked like they were all in the same markets with a high number of properties, I think we would give serious consideration. You agree, Brett?
Yeah, and the only thing I'm going to add, and it's not directly related to the question, but I should have answered it earlier about new markets, but it relates a little bit, is when we look at cities, the obvious answer for us, as I mentioned earlier, is licensing, because that's very important. But the second piece to that is location to Memphis and Dallas are hubs. The cities that we're in, Houston, San Antonio, those are 3 to 4 hours from Dallas. Little Rock, 3 hours from Memphis. Jackson, Mississippi, if we go there, 3 hours from Memphis. Birmingham, 3.5 hours from Memphis. Oklahoma City and Tulsa, 3 to 4 hours from Dallas. The exception being St. Louis, it's about 4.5 to 5. So we haven't, as far as buying in new markets, we haven't just ventured off somewhere that's, you know, an 8 to 10 hour drive from Memphis, like certain parts of Ohio might be. And that's just a consideration for us as we think about going to different markets. Dallas to Memphis is a 7 to 8 hour drive, but it's only a 1 hour flight. And so when we look at a city like Charlotte, that's a 1 hour flight. And so ease of travel for our team is something else to consider there too. That more applies to the markets we were talking about earlier. But, you know, as we talk about cities that we're managing in, and the further away we get from our home operations, will have an effect in that decision making as well.
And we're obviously growing. I think you'd agree with this. We're growing in our confidence that our team can deliver a really high quality, exceptional experience. So the house, we can buy the right houses, we can do the right renovation, we can find the right residents that will appreciate the way we treat them. We're growing in our confidence, in our ability to be able to do that just about any market we want to go to, right? Would you agree with that?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so again, even to Matthew's question, it's a case of, and the question from John earlier about how do we, maintain and ensure the same quality. Those are like really, really important things to us. We could be doing properties in Phoenix. We could be doing properties in Las Vegas. We could be we could have gone to Birmingham years ago. We could go to every single hot market, especially in the, like out there in the realm of like a bigger pockets where, Ohio, these markets, they're really hot. So we could go to any hot market anytime we wanted to and make money. If we didn't care about our integrity, if we didn't care about our reputation, we could have done that already. That's what's so important to us. We want to be here. Here you're talking to two guys that are the sons of the founder. You know what I mean? And we have our nephew in here working with us now. I've got a son that's in college. There is a real opportunity for one day you and I to pass this company on to the next generation. And I know you and I consider ourselves first generation because everything was kind of founded near the same time. I think Kent Senior may call us the second generation. As far as there's that curse of the third generation. The first one builds it, the second one's grow it, the third one destroys it. But we plan on doing things where that doesn't happen. We're trying to put this thing in place where you never know. We could look up 25, 30 years from now, and if you're watching this right now and you own properties with us, your children, if not you, could own the properties that are being managed by our children. And that's a pretty cool concept for us to consider. So it's not just about, can we go and provide a service and make money? It's, can we do it in such a way that you're successful, we're successful, we hold our heads high, our integrity is intact, our reputation is as, ironclad as it's ever been. Those things they just matter. And I don't know if that makes us rare or not, Brett. I don't know. I think it probably does in some respects, but.
Well, yeah, we're always looking for the long term. It's not about one house today. It's about the portfolio for the next 10 to 20 years with people. And so it's to us, it's all about the long game. As I like to remind people, I'm significantly younger than you. And so
no one would know that. They wouldn't know that from looking at us, but.
Well, you aged yourself with a son in college, mentioning that. So, but I'm significantly younger than you. So
everybody watching was shocked. They were like, wait, he's got a son in college? What? I need to stop.
The point of that being that, yeah, this is the long term. This is not about one sale to one person today. We got to get that sale. This is about creating a long-term investing experience for people.
Hey, let's do this. Let's touch on this one last question and then let's wrap it up. We've kept everybody for about an hour. So let me see. Well, we've got another one here. Let me see what we got here. Okay. So I'm going to do another video before the end of the week. Matthew, you just asked a question about insurance. I'm going to do an insurance update video at the end of the week for everybody watching. We'll do it I'll post it early in the morning, either Thursday or Friday, and give everybody kind of a little update on the insurance separate from this. Because I want to meet with the insurance team. I know you do too, Brett, and make sure that I get a full update. Right now, there's no real update to give, but we did have the insurance company in here. When was that, Brett? Last
week.
Mm-hmm. It was last week. It's kind of funny to go on what you said earlier. We brought the insurance company in because we surveyed our team members to go through our health insurance program, and our team gave us some really good feedback. Almost overwhelmingly all positive, but they gave us some suggestions and some needs for improvement. And we brought the insurance company in and said, hey, here it is. And it was great to meet with those guys because they had the same sense of urgency that we did, that they felt they could be better in the way they delivered insurance to our team members. So Matthew, I'll get you an update, okay? So real quickly, Lisa's asking about neighborhoods. And Brett, I just want to say this, that we do not approve, and that's probably the wrong word to use there. We don't talk about neighborhoods in terms of A, B, C, and D, Lisa. And the biggest reason why is this. Please understand that it's easy for anybody to be able to describe a property, a neighborhood as it's a great B neighborhood. You know, it's middle of the road, high demand, good houses, solid infrastructure. It's a really good neighborhood, and convince you as an investor who's far from home that, man, they're on top of it. They hit all the buttons. It's a B neighborhood. I'm going with this. When in reality, upon deeper inspection and further looking, they would say, wow, this, you know, it would not be a B neighborhood in my estimation or in someone else's estimation. It's so easy to put one letter next to a house and create a thought process in a buyer's mind. And it can lower our inquisitiveness. It can make us ask fewer questions as investors. And it can raise our trust in what we're buying. And so for us, I will say this. We strive to buy homes that are going to achieve a median and above rent and a median and above price range. And so, you know, again, for you as an investor, knowing on the front end, we try and invest in neighborhoods and homes that are affordable for the upper half of the earners in the area, and which means that they are going to be easily affordable. So they're going to attract residents that might be more stable. They might have multiple incomes, you know, under a rooftop, that type of thing. The home itself, we would like to buy homes in neighborhoods where there's upside. There is the possibility of not only neighborhood growth, but appreciation growth of demand in the future. Much of that comes to all kinds of other factors. So, you know, I wouldn't even begin to try and tell you, are they A, B, C, and D? I can promise you this: they're not the lower end of, no matter how you're going to rank neighborhoods and homes, they're not on the lower end. And that's just because, again, a long time ago as a business, we decided that if I could manage 5 properties and do it with one person, because I chose 5 better properties in better locations and I renovated them better so a resident stays longer, that's a lot better than doing 10 properties in lower ends that may turn over more, that may have lower renovations. Of course, I'd sell them faster, but I would need 5 people to manage those 10 because there's this constant rotation. So we made a business decision to get more done with fewer people by just managing better, doing a better job of renovating, and doing a better job of managing them on the back end. Anything to add on that, Brett?
No, I'm with you. I think when you label them as letters, it's very subjective. You know, we obviously monitor our price points. We know our average price is 150,000. We know that typically our houses are between 100 and 200,000, and every city's different. But if you're looking at one city, a $100,000 house versus a $200,000 house, they're going to be different.
Yeah.
But you know, what I might see is C or B. Somebody might see as B, and then this person it's A to this person over here. So I think. I couldn't have said it better myself the way you described it, but typically we talk about it in terms of price point. You know, a higher price point that's going to be a little bit better area than a lower price point. And I know that's extremely vague and basic, but you know, we're not into essentially subjectively labeling houses as letters.
Right. Guys, look, so Brett and I are going to jump off this call because we've been on here an hour. We're super appreciative to everybody that joined us. Neither one of us are watching this on Facebook. We're both in the Zoom environment. So I don't know how many joined us, but for everybody that's here with us live, thank you so much. Thanks to our team, Ron Woolbright, who's behind the scenes, letting us know the questions that were being asked. We're greatly appreciated. And just you taking time to spend with us and actually ask us questions, it means a lot to us. I know that Brett and I will, I'm sure one, if not both of us, will jump into Facebook if our rest of our team hadn't already done it. And we'll answer any questions that you may have asked that we didn't get to address directly on the call. Right, Brett?
Yep.
So everybody can get the answers that they're looking for. And I don't know, any parting words on your side?
Nope. I appreciate all the questions. It was fun.
Yeah, that was a good time, dude. I enjoyed doing that. I had no idea that you could talk that long.
Wow.
I thought I would just go there as we end the show. You did fantastic. Thank you for joining me today. I know that That is not something that you normally do, but I thought it was
I was
excellent.
just excited. You quit talking long enough for me to get a couple words in.
When I don't talk, I learn a lot. I learned a lot from you today. Uncomfortable silence. Everybody, thank y'all for joining us. We hope
I thought you ended
it.
this like 5 minutes ago.
Not yet. Thumbs up, love it, heart it, whatever those things are. And we'll see y'all next week. I think Ken Senior's back with another investor interview. This may have gone so well, he asked us to do it again. Who knows? You guys take care. We will see y'all soon. Bye.